Hey guys, what is going on? It is Psycho Sibs Gaming, and today we are going to talk about a very underappreciated aspect of Battle for Neighborville, and that is the Battle Zone. These are events that break out in the offline PvE environments. Many of you may know them by the name of a skirmish, which the official name is actually a battle zone. The skirmish is just the first phase, but we'll go over that later. And anyways, I'm sure a lot of new players have absolutely no idea what I'm talking about, because the battle zone is a relatively hidden feature that you wouldn't experience unless you play a lot of PvE, or more specifically, play a lot of PvE where you just run around and randomly kill enemies. And because this is definitely an underreported topic, today we're going to be going over how you actually activate one of these battle zones, and then we're going to go over the practicality of the battle zone. We're going to see if it could be used as an XP farm or a taco farm, or maybe there's another use for it. But if you think this is an interesting topic, then grab your lawn chair, sit back, relax, because you're watching Psycho Sibs Gaming. So according to the Plants vs. Zombies wiki, the Battle Zone is actually classified as a game mode in Plants vs. Zombies Battle for Neighborville. Short overview, the Battle Zone consists of 3 phases: the skirmish, the battle, and the battle leader. And it can be triggered, like I mentioned, in these free roam PvE environments by vanquishing multiple enemies. And upon reaching a certain number of vanquishes, then essentially an enemy will appear with a battle symbol over their head, and once you vanquish them, then the skirmish will actually begin. So I'm going to stop reading off the wiki page now and instead show you some footage of what this actually looks like in-game, and we'll talk about it further. If you do want to read this article, it's an incredibly well-written page on the wiki, and I will link it in the description. So the first step to actually activating one of these battle zones is to vanquish enemies in the free roam PvE environments, and to the best of my knowledge, this will work on any map. Now, we don't actually get told how many enemies you need to vanquish in order to activate the initial skirmish, but from my testing, it seems to be around 50 vanquishes. And also note, I was vanquishing a wide variety of enemies, including boss enemies, and I'm not certain if certain types of enemies, such as a boss, would contribute to activating a skirmish more than just your lowly weed. It did seem like after I killed a boss, it was more likely to activate a skirmish, but maybe that's just random chance from my experiment. But after you vanquish enough enemies, you'll see on the bottom left hand side of my screen, it says provoked enemy forces. What you need to do then is start looking for the enemy that has the battle sign above its head. The battle sign looks like 2 swords crossed into an X formation, and it will appear somewhat near you. However, it will only appear near you if you are in the correct area. And what I mean by this is that a skirmish just can't break out anywhere on the map. There are certain locations on every PvE map where skirmishes can actually break out, and the more you play, the more you'll get to learn where these locations are. And a good rule of thumb for finding skirmish tolerable locations is to find where the hero enemies spawn. And by hero enemies, I of course mean the nightcaps, the citrons, the foot soldiers, the normally playable characters that are just PvE enemies. Find the locations where those enemies spawn, and you're likely to be able to trigger a skirmish there. But anyways, after actually triggering the skirmish and you locate the enemy that has the battle sign above their head, kill that enemy right away. Now, this enemy can be a boss, or it could not be a boss. It could simply be a champion enemy. It doesn't matter. This enemy is considered the lieutenant of the battle zone. Once you vanquish them, you will be rewarded with 500 experience, and you move on to the second phase, which is the actual battle. Once the battle starts, you'll notice that there is a counter in the top right corner of your screen, which tells you how many enemies you need to defeat before moving on to the third phase. Just a note, any enemy counts here. So from weeds all the way to the single boss that will spawn later on, they all count as single enemies. As always, with each battle zone phase, there will be a timer, so if you do not complete the objective within the timer, the battle zone will end, and you'll have to run all over the place vanquishing enemies to try and trigger another one. This phase in particular, if you're having trouble defeating the required number of enemies within the time limit, Don't focus on boss enemies or champion enemies with a lot of health. Instead, just try and kill off all the small enemies first, because more small enemies will eventually appear. So overall strategy for this phase is kill off the small enemies first. If you have a decent time buffer, then go ahead and kill off some of the bigger enemies to get more XP. But otherwise, you really shouldn't have a problem getting this done in the 4 minutes. And after you complete the second phase, you will move on to the third phase, which is the battle leader. What this means is that a single enemy will spawn. It does not have to be a boss zombie, but a single enemy will spawn with a custom name and often a custom moveset and have a lot of health. Now, their health bar will appear at the top of the screen, but once again, you have 4 minutes to complete the phase, which solely consists of defeating the battle leader. Once you defeat said enemy, you will receive 1000 XP as a reward and complete the battle zone. Now, with that being said, the best way to complete this third phase is to focus all of your attention on the battle leader and just completely forget about the other enemies. Once you do kill the battle leader and end the battle zone, the other enemies will not disappear. They'll stick around so you can finish them off for XP. But in general, you'll probably want to complete the battle zones as quickly as you can, so just put all of your firepower into the battle leader and forget about the other enemies. All in all, that is how you go about activating the battle zone and completing the battle zone. But now let's talk a little bit about the yield of the battle zone. So how many XPs and tacos and whatnots are you getting from this? So the first thing I want to mention is that the difficulty of the environment does not matter. If you play this on normal difficulty, you won't be getting any more gains than you would be playing on casual difficulty. In fact, you're just more likely to die on normal, which makes a lot more sense to just go ahead and play casual. So with that all being said, let's talk about how much you actually gain from doing battle zones. Now, through my experience, I found it took me around 8 minutes to both activate a battle zone and finish the battle zone. So essentially one full cycle from completion of battle zone to completion of battle zone should take you around 8 minutes if you're trying to do it fast like I am. It counts for roughly 4 to 5 minutes of exploration and getting the vanquishes to trigger, and then 3 to 4 minutes of actually completing the battle zone. So within that time period, I found I was getting around 4,000 XP during the search and the actual battle zone portion. This equates to approximately 1 prize bulb every 8 minutes, which is around 7.5 prize bulbs per hour. Definitely not the best strategy by any means as far as straight prize bulb farming. However, 30,000 XP per hour for a character isn't necessarily terrible. I also want to mention that if you are trying to do strictly XP farming for Battle Zone, you want to use the Foot Soldier, or on the plant side, you'll want to use the Pea Shooter. Those are the characters that have the best XP bonuses associated with their weapons and special abilities, so make sure you're using those two to get the maximum amount of experience. And now that we know that this isn't necessarily a great experience farm, well, what about the taco yield? Now, the tacos, I found you can actually get around 150 tacos every time you do one of these full battle zone cycles. This means that you should be getting around 18 tacos per minute, or 1,100 plus tacos per hour. Now, compared to our best taco Tiger Claws farm, this is shy of it, considering that one yields around 30 tacos per minute. But with that being said, over 1,000 tacos per hour isn't a bad yield, especially if you're getting sick of farming Tiger Claws over and over again. All in all, I'd say this is an excellent method of taco farming. It really shakes things up a bit, it's quite refreshing, and then you can go ahead and use those tacos to either do the plumbing gig for XP or cash them in for coins. And finally, and what I think is the best use of the battle zone, is actually completing the weekly character challenges. Now, I have not touched on this in any of my weekly character challenge guides, which you can expect another one out in the early July once the new prize map drops. But essentially, it's very rare in the game to have an opportunity where a bunch of enemies are in one location. And this allows you to complete most of those challenges, especially the ability-related challenges, extremely quickly. And while most people would go into something like Ops and do this, The Battle Zone is an incredible place to complete the weekly character challenges just because there are so many enemies that you can vanquish within a short period of time. So if you have not tried out the Battle Zone for the weekly character challenges, I would highly recommend giving it a go. But anyways guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you found this video useful. I hope you learned a little something about battle zones, or what some of you may have called skirmishes. And if you did, make sure to drop a like on this video so that it appears more often in YouTube and I can get a lot of views on it, and then the channel can grow. And the new prize map is coming out in a couple of days, which should be super exciting, so expect a lot of videos, especially a brand new farming video, just so you guys can get all the prize bulbs you need. That will all be on its way. So with that being said, thank you guys so much for watching again. See you next time. Game on, gamers.